The MLB offseason is like a high-stakes poker game. Teams bluff, agents push, and fans? Well, they hold their breath, hoping their favorite player doesn't get dealt away like a bad hand. But what if I told you that the latest buzz around Pete Alonso and the Toronto Blue Jays isn't what it seems? What if it's just one giant leverage play orchestrated by the mastermind Scott Boras to force the Mets into action? Stay with me, because what's happening behind closed doors might just change the entire trade market. And if you thought the Mets were desperate, wait till you hear what's really going on. Let's rewind a bit. Steve Cohen, the billionaire owner of the New York Mets, has been playing a dangerous game. He's been vocal about frustrations at the Mets Fan Fest, making it crystal clear that the team needs serious reinforcements. Francisco Lindor, Juan Soto, and Pete Alonso would create a power-hitting core that could catapult them into championship contention. But here's the kicker: Alonso doesn't have a long-term deal, and Scott Boras wants him paid. But the Mets? They're not biting. Their bullpen is already paper-thin, and their roster construction feels incomplete. So, what does Boras do? He plays the oldest trick in the book. He creates artificial demand. Enter the Toronto Blue Jays, a team that suddenly finds itself in the middle of these rumors. But are they actually in the race? Or are they just pawns in Boras's high-stakes chess match? Former MLB GM Jim Bowden isn't buying the hype. On Foul Territory, he called it exactly how he saw it: this Toronto bid is just a classic Scott Boras leverage play. And if anyone knows Boras's tactics, it's Bowden. Think about it. The Blue Jays aren't exactly desperate for a power hitter, and Alonso himself hasn't expressed any interest in heading north of the border. So, why is this rumor even floating around? Simple: Boras wants the Mets to panic. He's testing their limits, seeing how much they're willing to risk losing Alonso. But here's where it gets interesting. Other teams, like the San Francisco Giants, have shown interest, but they have one major problem: their front office, particularly Buster Posey, is staunchly against opt-outs, the very thing Alonso craves in his contract. That means the Giants are off the table. And the Seattle Mariners? They'd be a perfect fit, but they don't have the financial firepower. So, where does that leave Alonso? Well, that's the million-dollar question, or should I say the $156 million question? Because that's the contract the Mets initially offered Alonso before pulling it off the table. And now, Boras is scrambling to regain leverage. Let's be honest, Boras playing the leverage game is as predictable as your uncle betting on the Yankees every season and swearing, "This is our year." It's a tale as old as time, except this time, it might backfire spectacularly. The Mets hold the cards here, but they aren't the only ones facing a tough decision. Alex Bregman, another major star, finds himself in a similar predicament. He rejected a $156 million offer from the Houston Astros and is now, like Alonso, stuck in limbo. Houston has reignited interest, and even Jose Altuve has reportedly offered to change positions to make room for Bregman. Meanwhile, the Boston Red Sox and Detroit Tigers have thrown their hats into the ring, but neither is offering the long-term deal Bregman desires. And here's where things get spicy. Bob Nightingale of USA Today claims the Toronto Blue Jays have swooped in with a 6-year offer. That's right, Toronto, the same team rumored to be in on Alonso, might actually be making their move for Bregman instead. And this, my friends, is why the MLB offseason is a roller coaster of emotions. 1 minute, Alonso was supposedly heading to Toronto; the next, he's back in New York. And suddenly Bregman is the one packing his bags for Canada. It's chaos, it's strategy, and most importantly, it's why we love the game. But here's the real question: if Alonso and Bregman both miss out on long-term deals this offseason, could this signal a shift in how teams approach free agency moving forward? Are we witnessing the start of a new era where star players have to fight harder for the deals they once got effortlessly? That's a conversation for another day. But if you think the drama is over, think again. Because what's happening with the Yankees and their latest secret trade talks might just shake up the entire league. And trust me, you won't want to miss it. So if you love this video, then hit the like button and subscribe the channel for more news. Love you, gang.